Hello all. The topic we're going to be covering today is how do you tell if your class is zero textbook cost? Well, we have a PDF here from Los Medanos Community College, located in Brentwood, California, in the United States. Of course, as you can tell by the English on it, and the California state right here. So, what makes a textbook, or I should say class, specifically your class, a zero textbook cost class or section of your class? We're going to go into that. I'm going to zoom in, and then I'm going to also mention something. This video is not to basically discriminate between what is a good textbook to upload upload, my goodness. My bad, it's not a video to discriminate between what books are open educational resources and are good to upload and between those that are not. It's not the purpose of this video. This is simply using what is on LibreText. Is your class, or is a section of your class, zero textbook cost? So, jumping right into it. It says right here, has some information. This is not necessarily related to yourself, but it says the state has established parameters for what constitutes zero textbook cost. If all textbooks are optional for this section, in other words, if the books for your section are optional, exactly what it says, and you qualify for zero textbook cost, and they want you to report that you're zero textbook cost. Next, if all signed textbooks are identified open educational resource textbooks, now this could not just be on LibreText, but say, for example, you're offering that your students look at a book, that is required, but the book is on something like Project Gutenberg, which is an open educational resource that people can freely view and use. Then you are a ZTC section or class because that, book, of course, is freely available. Zero cost. There's no site, textbook. It's pretty straightforward. You really don't have a textbook, there's no need, and you'll categorize it as ZTC. Lastly, on this bullet point, it says the signed textbooks, including course readers. It's important to keep in mind including course readers are available online for free through library databases. So again, that's not just any databases or something you pay to get into. Something that's free. It's something that's open and or provided with the tuition of the class, or if they have a fee waiver or something of this sort. In other words, the school is making it available either through registration or to the general public without requirement of registration. Continuing on, it says on top of the assignment are the assigned textbooks being online free. And students are not required to buy a physical copy. So no, they're not required to buy a physical copy. Let's see what this says. Note, for course readers and online materials, faculty are responsible for tiering the copyright and accessibility requirements. This is highly important. There's been a lot of digital textbooks going around classes during this COVID pandemic. That's the time this video is being done in. And going forward, this is highly applicable. So it's the only reason I'm including this. Copyright laws still apply to links such as torrent links. Torrent being a link that directly goes to a version of either a movie or video or whatever. That is a form of piracy. And I'm not saying that the educational community doesn't use them, but I am saying that if you want to use them and you get caught, you're going to find yourself in legal trouble. So I highly recommend that you do not do that unless you are very confident you're not going to get caught. Even then, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't advise anything legally speaking. So just keep in mind, if you're giving away a free textbook, available is what I'm saying. If you're giving your textbook away for free, and it's either a torrent link, and you think it's free or whatever it is, try to verify that it is some kind of institution that is providing it for free, and or check the copyright on it. There are various websites and resources to check that. Lastly, it says, in order to qualify for ZTC, lab materials or required supplies are not considered a textbook cost. In other words, this can be like a separate thing. A course section meets the parameters and requirements of materials fee, and then section would qualify ZTC cost. Excuse my stumble there. In other words, if the textbook is free in a calculus class, but you're going to need a calculator, graphing calculator, then it is a ZTC class, of course, because there are many means to get a graphing calculator, and or it's not the content itself. It's not the class, rather the tools that are required during the class. I believe it's very simple to understand. Like, if you want to go learn how to knit, there's a free knitting class, and you're saying you go to those classes, they're not going to give you free knitting needles. You need to show up with knitting needles. They're not going to give you the tools. You need to bring the tools, but they'll educate you for free. So, for example, in calculus, you need to show up with your graphing calculator or something or equivalent that meets the requirements of that class. So, yes, it is free. And the textbook, the materials will be free. But the technology and or whatever additional pieces of the class facets must be paid for, and it's okay, because as long as it's not the text, it qualifies as ZTC. Lastly, if students need to pay fees to access some platform to do coursework or homework, this counts as a cost. The course section would not qualify. So, since we've kind of clarified over here, if you need to buy the tool to do the classes, well, it doesn't matter. It's still ZTC because the content is not locked behind anything. You don't need to pay for a subscription. You don't need to pay in order to get basically a license. Kind of like when you buy a movie. When you buy a movie, you're buying a license to use that movie in your household, and you're not buying a license to show it in theaters. It's a separate thing, like a theater would use. So therefore, as long as you're not paying to use the materials you find by tools, that is still a ZTC. So as long as you're paying for the materials themselves, the intelligence, the knowledge, you're fine. This is what's saying right here. It's saying if the materials locked behind, say, a subscription service or a payment wall to access a library or other, there might say it's free, but you have to pay once or something like that. It doesn't matter. If you have to pay to get in, then it would not qualify as ZTC. I would offer there are some websites that, for example, will ask to pay like 1 cent, something very small, and they'll do this. They'll refund that 1 cent or small amount, and it's simply to confirm that you are indeed an individual, and it's to block out spam or bots or anything like that might flood the server/website. So I would discuss that with your higher ups. That's the case because something like that, a 1 cent charge, is refunded. I feel like that counts as ZTC, but I can't make the final decision on that. This is what this is saying. That would be something else. But to reiterate, again, as I did with that, if it is locked behind a paywall, significant paywall, and your higher-ups do not agree to assign as ZTC, then it's not going to be ZTC. I feel it's pretty self-evident, so that is this. This is an older paper. I believe it's from 2018. This is contact these emails down here. Don't contact these emails. This is an old paper. It's from 2018. Yeah, actually, right here it says it's probably from 2017. Actually, maybe. But all this right here is still relevant. This at the bottom isn't. The stuff at the bottom isn't. I've already explained anything that was of relevance. And again, this isn't a video on uploading books. You're not going to be doing that here. We're focused on getting remixes and getting those for your students. So that'll be all you need to know, and thank you for watching.